All right, I will note that I received a number of letters on behalf of Ms. Freeman. They were handed to me ahead of time, and I did review them. They include letters from Lieutenant Brown, Ms. Freeman's daughter, or son, I'm sorry, son. Ms. Freeman's siblings, a friend, a therapist, the church, your pastor, and your caseworker in Shakopee provided me with an update as well. Ms. Anderson, before I give Ms. Freeman her right of allocution, is there anything else you'd like to add or say at this time?
There is, Your Honor. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Your Honor, this case is no doubt a tragedy for all parties involved. My client, Beth Freeman, has been portrayed, unfortunately, by the media as somewhat of a monster. But I'm here to tell you today that she is no such thing. Beth is a mother of 2 children, a boy and a girl. Her son, Lucas, is a United States Air Force pilot, valiantly serving our country. He weekly communicates with his mother, who describes her as one of the few people who have the ability to genuinely love others, who selflessly cares and nurtures others, and who, after this heartbreaking incident, has shared with him that without a doubt she has felt the weight and repercussions of her actions. Her daughter Alyssa was recently married, and because of her incarceration, my client Beth had to miss her daughter's wedding. This has deeply impacted both my client and her daughter, and unfortunately is another consequence that my client will have to live with forever. Beth is also a daughter. She personally cared for her ailing parents until their deaths, most recently caring for her mother who died of cancer. Beth is a sister, and on the date in question was traveling to help her handicapped brother attend his wife's funeral. She has had visits and ongoing communication with her siblings who support her recovery and have witnessed her empathy towards the officer's family. Beth Freeman is a good friend to others. Her neighbor describes her as someone who is a proud parent, cheerful, and always ready to lend a helping hand. She cares for a friend, a Vietnam vet, who she helped obtain health care and his rightful VA benefits that were previously denied. Beth Freeman was an employee who enjoyed working with others as a waitress, a clerk in a retail store, and an employee in a grocery store. Currently, Beth is working full-time in the prison system, and her direct supervisor in General Assembly indicates she has received an above-average work evaluation, and she was recently promoted to a small work group that is more focused with higher work expectations due to less supervision. Beth Freeman is a model inmate. Her caseworker, Paul Clemmy, indicates she has participated in a number of activities since being incarcerated in Shakopee, namely Celebrate Recovery, Bible Study, NA, and AA. She has been discipline-free and has not received any sanctions, formal or informal, for facility violations. Most relevant to this case, Your Honor, my client had a Rule 25 chemical dependency evaluation and intends on seeking acceptance into the chemical dependency unit. I want the court to know that Beth Freeman was a client seeking therapy for substance abuse and other personal issues just shortly before this incident. Her therapist, Britta Seville, indicates that she saw Beth weekly and required regular UAs as part of her therapy for over a year. She had no positive UAs while treating with Ms. Seville. Ms. Seville describes her as someone who is a good person at her core, who loves people deeply and takes care of the people she cares about. She notes that Beth was committed to therapy and bettering her life. Lastly, Your Honor, Beth Freeman is a devout Christian. She has the support from various members of the Ridgewood community in Minnetonka, where she attended the church as a child and continued this into adulthood. One of the leaders of the church, Bud Boberg, who has known Beth since she was little, met with my client in Shakopee and notes that she is sincere in her desire to make significant changes in her life that will enable her to become a responsible citizen of the community, and who accepts responsibility for what was done and who wants to begin a program of recovery from her addictions and build a basis for success. Reverend Susan Thomas, a friend and pastor of Beth, who has continued to counsel with her since the incarceration for this offense, relates that Beth has taken responsibility for her role in the tragic death of Officer Williams. She realizes that her consequences for his widow, son, and extended family, friends, and colleagues in the community, as well as her own and that of her family. She notes that there is no going back for a redo, but there remains an opportunity for redemption. The Reverend notes this redemption, we believe as Christians, comes through deep soul-searching, genuine repentance of the wrongs one has committed, receiving God's forgiveness, and seeking to make amends as best one can after such a terrible tragedy by living a life of usefulness and meaning while incarcerated. Your Honor, she believes that Beth Freeman is on this path. The Reverend believes Beth is seeking to make the most of every opportunity afforded to her while at Shakopee to live a life redemptive in style. She notes that she knows Beth to be a woman who acknowledges her own heartbreaking failures and someone who is a kind, compassionate, and intelligent human being who is broken but not beyond the reach of God's grace, forgiveness, and redemption. Some of these statements I shared with the prosecution during the plea negotiation process. Quite frankly, Your Honor, it was an arduous phase, to say the least, which included, between myself and Mr. Tudor, heated discussions regarding resolution and the merits of our respective positions. I can say without a doubt that my colleague, Ms. Lori Traub, as an independent accident reconstruction expert who helped to contradict the trooper's findings regarding the perception and response time and the rate of speed of my client's vehicle, was instrumental in helping to resolve this case. In the last analysis, Your Honor, I want the court and the Matthews family to know that my client, Beth Freeman, from the beginning of this case, as can be seen on the video captured immediately after the accident, and in my one-on-one interaction with her, has been nothing but transparent and forthcoming about her true feelings of shame and guilt over her wrongdoings. She's always been willing to accept responsibility for the harm she has caused while trying to be positive and upbeat with me. She often seeks out other young inmates that she can relate to because of her life experiences and her poor decisions, and gives them advice on how to make better decisions. It seems to come naturally to her. I truly believe, Your Honor, that Beth is a good person who made bad choices. She is someone who must live with her actions for the rest of her life. I've gotten to know her intimately, and I believe that she is someone that has made and will continue to make significant positive changes, and she will give back to the community for years to come. Now, I'm sorry I'm emotional. As to the specific terms of the negotiation, my client at this time waives a formal PSI, and she understands that she will be responsible for restitution, and if there are any disputes, that an affidavit will be filed within 60 days. Furthermore, I just want to say, Your Honor, it's been a pleasure to be before you, and at this time, my client has some words she'd like to say.
Okay. Ms. Freeman, I want to be able to hear you, so pull that microphone close to you. Ms. Anderson, maybe you can help her with that.
I don't need a microphone.
Just pull the mic over. I just want to be able to hear Ms. Freeman.
I usually don't need a microphone.
All right.
Thank you, Judge Garcia, for allowing me to address the court. I hold myself accountable for this accident and the heartbreaking results that follow, where a good officer of the community, his life was taken. Also, most importantly, a wife lost her husband and a son lost his father. I was driving because my sister-in-law had just died, and my handicapped brother needed my help getting ready for his wife's memorial that afternoon. I stayed at the scene of the accident and cooperated fully with the police. I cannot change the situation, but I would like to offer my help with the funeral costs. I had been reacquainting myself with my Christian family and other sober support since my mom's passing in 2015, but I relapsed. Since my incarceration, I have been working on maintaining a discipline-free record and taking classes to help manage my behaviors. I am hoping to be a mentor to other women while at Shakopee and after I am released. I'm not the person the media has made me out to be. I'm extremely sorry and remorseful for Officer Matthews' death. I ask your forgiveness and pray you will make God your refuge in times of trouble. Thank you.
All right, anything else, Ms. Anderson?
No, Your Honor.
Anything else, Mr. Tudor?
Just briefly, Your Honor, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't address this. First of all, the reason that the presumptive sentence, as everybody knows, is 98 months is because of 8 prior felony convictions of Ms. Freeman that date back to the turn of the millennium. And the reason the state agreed to this presumptive amount and waived the career offender had to do with conversations with Ms. Matthews, who wanted to take control of the outcome and had nothing to do with the defense reconstructionist. Thank you.
Okay. All right, we are now at the point, Ms. Freeman,
Yes.
where you'll be sentenced by the court. Obviously, this officer, Bill, is no longer with us. We do, however, have a number of folks here that are in law enforcement. I would ask all of you to stand at this time and be recognized and thanked for your service. So all members of law enforcement, please stand. Thank you. You may be seated. We thank you for your service. And now, Ms. Freeman. You, Beth Eileen Freeman, entered a plea of guilty today, May 11th, 2018, to the crime of criminal vehicular homicide in violation of Minnesota statute 609.2112, subdivision 1A2II, and standing convicted of said crime, it is the sentence of law and the judgment of this court that as punishment you shall be committed to the Commissioner of Corrections of this state for a period of 98 months. You shall serve 2/3 of this sentence, or 65 1/3 months in prison, and you will serve up to 1/3 of this sentence, or 32 2/3 months on supervised release. The Commissioner may extend your time in prison up to the entire sentence of 98 months if you commit any disciplinary offenses or supervised release violations. It is further the order of this court that execution upon this sentence shall issue forthwith, that means right now, and that the sheriff shall be directed to deliver you into the custody of the Commissioner of Corrections. You shall be given credit for 246 days served. My understanding is that you have been incarcerated for some time now and therefore do not have an income, and so you shall pay the mandatory minimum fine of $50 and a surcharge of $78. Restitution is reserved for 60 days. Ms. Freeman, if you get a letter that indicates to you that you owe restitution, let your attorney know. Ms. Anderson only has 30 days in which to request a hearing if you disagree with the amount of restitution sought.
Yes.
So don't sit on it. Make sure you contact Ms. Anderson. Restitution will be due immediately, and sums may be taken from your prison earnings to satisfy your restitution obligations. Any prison earnings shall be used to satisfy restitution first, followed by the payment of any fines or surcharges. A DNA sample will be taken from you if one has not already been taken, and that's usually in the form of a buccal swab. You are prohibited from ever possessing, shipping, transporting, or receiving a firearm or ammunition, and this ban is in effect for the remainder of your lifetime. The sentence is concurrent with 27 CR 16 17081. Ms. Freeman, you have the right to appeal the judgment and conviction or sentence or both, and if you are unable to pay the cost of appeal, you may apply for leave to appeal at state expense by contacting the state public defender. Mr. Tudor, the prosecutor, on behalf of the state of Minnesota, is dismissing counts 1 and 3. That is pursuant to the plea agreement reached in this case. So, Ms. Freeman, I've written all this down for you on a sentencing order. Ms. Anderson, will you step forward?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'll have you go over this with Ms. Freeman. Ms. Freeman, it's important that you understand everything. Let me know if you have any questions. Yeah. All right, did Ms. Freeman sign it?
No, Your Honor.
Sign and date, please, Ms. Freeman.
Your Honor, I don't have a, thank you.
There you go.
Thank you. It's okay. Okay, that's fine. Like that. Yeah.
And Ms. Anderson, Madam Clerk will make a copy of that for Ms. Freeman. Would you like a copy, Ms. Anderson?
Yes, please.
Mr. Tudor, do you need one?
No, thank you.
Okay. And as we indicated, no PSI, pre-sentence investigation, is being ordered in this case.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. All right. Ms. Anderson? Thank you. Mr. Tudor, thank you. Ms. Freeman, you can go with the deputies at this time, ma'am.
Thank you.
And good luck to you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our hearing, and we are adjourned. Dana, thank you.